I know it's been a minute, but happy Dragon Ball Sunday to you all. I got my Flying Nimbus jersey on, and we're going to look at two videos by Planet Saiyan that the Urban Ninja had shared with me a few days ago in regards to the new um news that's gonna be coming for Dragon Ball. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and have a look at this. Just give me. All right. So the first one we're going to be looking at is apparently there is a new DBS movie announced with Goten and Trunks as the protagonists. Um I'm not really too surprised because Urban Ninja had spoiled me the news about it those 2 nights ago, but I asked him to show me um the two videos in question so that we can talk about it together because I feel like this is some big news, especially for Dragon Ball Sunday. So here we go. Let's look at this one.
Out about Dragon Ball in Japan is totally unbelievable. A new Dragon Ball Super movie has been announced and Japanese fans are going crazy. In this video, I'm going to tell you what's happening and I'm sure you're going to freak out. We found out about this news just now and we are rushing to bring it firsthand for you here.
Oh shoot.
So leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel so you can always wake up to new Dragon Ball information, and let's get to it. So like I said, a new movie of the Dragon Ball franchise was announced, and the first information that we have about this new production, it caused a lot of controversy among Japanese fans. I'm especially mentioning the Japanese fans because this news has only spread in Japan, but as we have access to some Japanese portals and forums, we've already got all of the details around these rumors. So, why did this news generate so much buzz? Well, we know that the most recent Dragon Ball movie, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, it in itself is a somewhat controversial movie. The reason this movie is so controversial is that for the first time in many years, Akira Toriyama and Toei Animation bet on a story that had different protagonists. The protagonists of this movie were Gohan, Piccolo, and Pan, instead of the classic Goku and Vegeta combo.
And see, this movie, honestly, like I said in my previous a review that I did for this movie, because I had watched it and did a review on it, this kind of puts to rest my gripe with the character Gohan as of right now. The main character, one of the main characters, the Z-Fighters Gohan, as of right now. Well, side character because because he was supposed to be a main character, but they had different ideas after the Cell Saga, and they just decided to just continue focusing on Goku and Vegeta, knowing the fact that they have a son, Gohan. They have Gohan being stronger than his father with this raw power, and it was never fully realized until now. Now that like the raw power has been like fully brought out, and we see this in Gohan's beast form. Well, raw. I want to say his raw beast form and everything, kind of resembling Ultra Instinct, but his hair is longer. So yeah, this movie, honestly, I enjoyed it because it gave me closure to my gripe with what happened with Gohan, and why I honestly have preferred future Gohan more than this Gohan, because future Gohan didn't skip out on training, and even though he was still in like Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan Super Dragon Ball Heroes done already like kill that whole notion, because future Gohan can go beyond the limitations. So there's that. But this, I still enjoy this movie regardless.
In the end, the movie ended up being a huge success and it grossed more at the box office than any other movie in the history of the franchise. But even though the movie was a success, it is a fact that many fans still turned up their noses, and we cannot deny the fact that not everybody who watched it liked it.
They can fuck right off. Nobody cares about them. Those fans can't be pleased no matter what.
People thought the script was too shallow, that it left a lot to be desired, that Gohan and Piccolo weren't really good as protagonists. and that the movie's transformations were poorly explained and demonstrated.
That's because they riding Goku and Vegeta's dick too much. Like, there's more characters in DB's in Dragon Ball that we can focus on, rather than just Goku and Vegeta all the time.
The villains were too generic and other things like that. But what I want to say is that the movie was a watershed. A lot of people liked it and a lot of people didn't. And to worsen the repulsion that some people had for Dragon Ball Super Superhero, the producers added even more fuel to the fire by deciding to adapt this movie into the manga and making fans wait so many months for a new story to be told. And finally, we got chapter 101 being told here, and it starts out right after the superhero movie with Carmine, the only villain that was left after Magenta died. But what everybody's waiting to see is what happened after the Granola Saga, so where is that story? Anyway, it's finally starting to make sense that the movie was adapted into the manga, and you're gonna find out why. So the bombshell news that shocked Japanese fans is that the Dragon Ball franchise is going to release a new movie that's going to have Goten as the new protagonist, and it's not just that. This movie is going to be called Dragon Ball Super Superhero 2, bringing us that same superhero-like theme back into the franchise. I'm not kidding. Everything's making more sense, and I'm going to explain to you the whole move that Dragon Ball producers made with us in the last few months.
Okay.
First of all, let me note that the Dragon Ball Super manga not only adapted the events of the movie, but also added in some details and changed others and created a small prologue arc that explains some of the things that happened before Dr. Heto's arrest. Speaking first of this prologue, its protagonists were Goten and Trunks, who are acting as superheroes called Saiyaman 1 and 2 when they weren't otherwise in school. In other words, the superhero theme was inserted into this prologue and the protagonists were Goten and Trunks. And in fact, the movie stars Gohan and Piccolo, who were the protagonists, did not even appear in the prologue. So after this little small arc, their second step was to adapt the movie, which was a little bit of a curious thing, since they haven't adapted a movie since the first arc of the manga. The first arc of the DBS manga adapted the movie Battle of the Gods, but there's two differences from one adaptation to the other. First, it was necessary to adapt Battle of Gods because that's how the story of Dragon Ball Super started.
Right.
So it'd be strange for the manga to start without telling how Beerus got there. Second, the adaptation of Battle of the Gods in the manga went much more quickly than the adaptation of Superhero. Another very important thing is that in addition to adapting the movie, they made several small changes, and among these changes, one of the main things was the greater participation of secondary characters. And among all these characters, Goten and Trunks were certainly the ones who stood out the most, including fighting as superheroes against Cell Max himself.
I mean, honestly, this is something, in my honest opinion, that needed to happen, because there's not much you can do with just two characters, that being Goku and Vegeta. There's not much you can do with them other than to keep talking about them when you have this whole other roster. And you see, that's the main thing that kind of like pushed me away from Dragon Ball is the fact that we have such detailed, dope characters other than just those two. Why don't we explore on them? I mean, for goodness sake, this is the first time that I hope to God that we're going to be seeing Goten and Trunks grow up. They've been kids like this entire time, other than GT, which is finally getting recognized. Finally got recognized. But other than that, this is the first time we're seeing these two actually develop and grow up outside of just doing fusing into Gotenks. This is huge. This is huge news. This is a step in the right direction, in my honest opinion. Y'all can disagree if you want to, but the point of the matter is, if we want Dragon Ball as a franchise to survive, we need to focus on these other characters. We have to focus on them. Not saying that we shouldn't focus on Goku or Vegeta anymore, because there's still stuff to be talked about them, especially outside of them, regarding their parents, regarding their siblings. There's so much to talk about with this franchise still. But that's just me.
Something that did not happen in the movie. So putting the pieces together, we start to realize there's a lot of curious events happening. First, they decide to create a prologue for the movie's story that has completely different protagonists. Secondly, they fully adapt the movie, which hasn't happened since the beginning of the manga. And third, in this adaptation, they made a point of changing some things and giving more prominence to Goten and Trunks. Now that we've observed all of this, finally the news that just came out starts to make sense.
And you know what? Honestly, that was the big gripe that a lot of people had with Superhero. Now that I'm looking back on it, a lot of people wanted to see Gotenks in that movie. A lot of people wanted to see Goten and Trunks fuse and fight and things of that nature. That's why a lot of people didn't like, because they honestly wanted to see Gotenks as well. Well, here it is, motherfuckers. Here's your Superhero 2, and it's gonna be focused on Gotenks. It's gonna be focused on Goten and Trunks. There you go. There you go. Y'all cannot say they wasn't listening. Yeah, it's gonna take time, obviously, but there you go. There you go.
What happened was the following. At first, the movie Dragon Ball Super Superhero was being treated as a smaller project. It was an idea that Akira Toriyama had, and Toei Animation decided to produce it. Proof of Toriyama's lack of pretension for this movie is that he himself said after the phenomenon that was the Broly movie, he wanted to do a project that wasn't so megalomaniac with the intention of saving the animators. They put in a lot of effort to deliver that visual spectacle that was the Broly movie. At the same time, Toei was interested in testing how the public would receive a movie made with 3D animation, since as we know, this type of animation is much cheaper than traditional animation. With all of this in mind, they made the movie, but what they didn't expect was that it would be so successful, blowing all of the other Dragon Ball movies out of the water. After they saw that the public received this movie so well,
listen, people love Dragon Ball, bro. People love, listen. To this day, I am still getting people wanting me to read Anime War, featuring all these characters, the DBZ characters, the Naruto characters, the One Piece characters, Saitama. They want me to redo it, and honestly, I wouldn't be mad about it. I just gotta refine it. I just gotta find it again. That's all I think about it. Because YouTube and their freaking dickish ways took down some of the videos, and I don't understand why. To this day, I still don't know why. I was never given a reason why.
They decided to make a sequel, this time exploring new protagonists. But the problem was that the story as it was done in the movie didn't give much space to the other characters. In the movie, secondary characters appear, but they're not very prominent, just adding some commentary on the sidelines. So they told Toyotarou to adapt this movie into the manga, but he would have to make some changes to the story, giving better moments to the secondary characters, especially focusing on Goten and Trunks. That's why there's that prologue arc that has Goten and Trunks as the protagonists, and that's why in the manga they have much better participation in the fight against Cell Max. Like the moment when they are literally fighting him alone, or that moment when they fight together with Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, and also that final fight scene where they help Gohan land the final attack. And another crazy thing is that Gamma 1 and Gamma 2's design was based on Saiyaman 1 and 2, which Dr. Hedo saw them dressed in their Saiyaman costumes before he was arrested. So now we understand all the preparation that was done behind the curtains. But what about the movie's story? Well, exactly what the story is going to entail, this is still a little hazy. However, the people who released this news have some interesting information, and based on this information, they have created some very intriguing speculations. One very relevant thing is that Cell Max is the villain of this movie, and the informants say this because they had access to several concepts of a new version of Cell Max. This new version would be something more or less close to the Cell that we saw in DBZ, not that crazy mindless monster from the movie. How exactly this new version will be created, we don't know, but a very interesting speculation they made is that Carmine would be one of the main people responsible, since he was Magenta's right-hand man and certainly had access to many Red Ribbon secret stuff. And as far as I remember in the movie, it's not exactly clear what happened to Carmine, but in the manga, it made a point of showing him running away with some of the soldiers. Then we get to chapter 101, which was just released, and as soon as Carmine is leaving Magenta's funeral, he is already thinking about how he's going to get his revenge. He even tried to get Goten and Trunks in on it for them to go to Gohan's house and beat him up, telling him that Gohan and Capsule Corporation were trying to take over the world. Except he didn't use their names, he just said an evil corporation, so Goten and Trunks just went along with it, and then at the end of the chapter, they saw that it was actually Gohan who was the supposed villain. So yes, Carmine is definitely still involved here, still very well alive and very evil. So none of this was just shown for nothing. In one of the Dragon Ball Z movies, the concept of Dr. Gero's supercomputer was used, which was a very advanced computer that independently completed the project of 3 androids. That was androids 13, 14, and 15, which later became Super Android 13. I believe this same concept could be used now, and it could be said that while Dr. Hedo was working on creating Cell Max in that base, a supercomputer was extracting data from Cell, which was being created by Dr. Hedo to generate an even better Cell. I think this is a totally feasible possibility, because Magenta clearly did not like Dr. Hedo. He did not want to have to depend on him forever to create the androids, so it's very plausible that he had some other hidden method to get rid of Dr. Hedo and keep his knowledge. This supercomputer thing could be a really good idea. Another point we have to highlight is that even though Red Ribbon's secret base was destroyed, the company called Red Pharmaceuticals still exists and still has a lot of money and resources, so Carmine still has that advantage. Either way, a new Cell would emerge, and like every enemy on Earth, he would be defeated by someone. But this time, the stars would not be Gohan and Piccolo, instead Goten and Trunks, who, as the new superheroes, will face this villain. Of course, it's a little difficult to think of a story where they're going to be the heroes, since of course Gohan and Piccolo are much more powerful than them. So the most obvious thing would be for Gohan and Piccolo to step in and deal with the problem. But when they want to make the character shine, they find some kind of justification, and that is the least of their problems. They made Gohan and Piccolo have to do all the saving in the superhero movie because Goku and Vegeta were over on Beerus' planet training. And since they were in the middle of a sparring match, they weren't able to feel the ki of Gohan, or they just didn't notice it. Another point is that Goten and Trunks' evolution potential is ridiculously large, even much greater than Gohan's. So if in the last movie Akira managed to think of a convenient way to give Gohan and Piccolo a huge evolution, he can perfectly do this with Goten and Trunks, since their potential is even greater. And it's about time they get something new. In the prologue of the superhero arc, Trunks clearly played the main role, while Goten was kind of a co-protagonist. But this movie would be the exact opposite. This time, Trunks would be the co-protagonist, the sidekick, and Goten would be the main character. And finally, knowing Dragon Ball, we can conclude that in the end, Goten and Trunks will achieve a new transformation and defeat Cell Max 2.0, either separately or fused together. Regarding,
I would like to see that. Honestly, I would like to see. We're not gonna get it. I would like to see Goten and Trunks fuse into a different kind of Gotenks and go past Super Saiyan 3. I want to see it. I honestly want to see that. I know we're never gonna get it. I understand that, but look. I need to see it. I need to see something, man. I need to see something. Maybe a new form or whatever, but yeah, I need to see that.
the transformations they're going to have, we have a lot of options, ranging from the common Super Saiyans to the Divine Super Saiyans, or also an exclusive transformation in the case of Gohan Beast. It's no surprise to anyone that since the Majin Buu saga, Akira Toriyama has wanted to give a prominent role to Goten and Trunks, since in that saga for some time, they were tipped to be the greatest heroes who would defeat Majin Buu. In Dragon Ball Super, they for some reason were almost completely discarded from the story for a long time. But now it seems like they are getting that recognition, and the potential of these characters is finally putting them back into stardom. Goten and Trunks certainly have great potential to star in a Dragon Ball story, both due to their ability to gain power and their charisma. I definitely would not object to a movie telling about an adventure between these two. Recently, we've had some controversies involving them because older fans complain they're too mischaracterized in relation to the Z phase, especially Trunks, who was a more mischievous and smart boy, but in DBS he became more of a silly teenager. I agree that Trunks is a little bit dense, but the character is still really good and brave. I really think that he would be a hit with the public, especially the younger audience. This is all the information.
People love Goten. People love Goten and Trunks. People love Goten and Trunks. Especially Gotenks. They still that's part of the reason why my roommate Urban Ninja was rewatching the Buu Saga yesterday. He was rewatching the whole thing. The Buu Saga is a loved saga, bro. If you don't hear about the Android Saga, the Cell Saga, the freaking Saiyan Saga, you're gonna hear about the Buu Saga from people. You're gonna hear about it. So, Planet Saiyan also put out this. It's out a new season of Dragon Ball Super, release date and the plot. and the plot.
We are closer than ever to the
There we go.
return of Dragon Ball Super. Yes, we finally know the period in which Dragon Ball Super will return, and don't worry, it will be the adaptation of the manga. With the Dragon Ball copyright dispute, many fans were wondering if this would interfere with anything in the anime. Come with me and I will show you all this, but first leave a like and subscribe to help the Dragon Ball community grow more and more. Now without further delay, let's get straight to this video that is simply incredible. Let's start with some important things. The first is that Dragon Ball Super has been in production since 2020, and this is confirmed by DBS Chronicles. I believe that many here are already aware of who he is. He is a Dragon Ball leaker and has always been right about everything that would happen in the production of Dragon Ball. This is really good and all because of the quality that the anime will have, not only in animation, but also in direction, soundtrack, and so on. Clearly, the animation of Dragon Ball Super should be even better than the animation we saw in Dragon Ball Daima, because Toei has been testing these animation methods for some time. Later on, I will talk about the animation, focusing on each saga and how it should be animated considering the current staff. But let's focus now on the information we have so far. Well, there is a big fight going on over the copyright of Dragon Ball, and this involves Shueisha and Akio Iyoku, current producer and face of Dragon Ball. What happened, guys, is that Iyoku left Shueisha and founded his company with Akira Toriyama's possible blessing. It seemed clear that the intellectual rights to Dragon Ball would go to Capsule Corporation, Akio's company. But we know that in the meantime, during the transfer of rights, our sensei Akira Toriyama ended up passing away. As a result, it was not possible to complete the transfer of copyrights, and there is currently a fight in which Akira Toriyama's family will have to decide who will get the rights. Akio Iyoku was a great and trusted friend of Akira Toriyama, to the point that Iyoku would grant Akira Toriyama's wishes without telling his supervisors. I say this because it was said that Iyoku was responsible for Sandland. It only happened because of him. So considering all this, Akio Iyoku is the face of Dragon Ball, just as he was already doing. He himself said that he wants to expand Dragon Ball for the next 10 years, thus showing his desire to continue with Dragon Ball.
I say let him do it. Let the man do it. Let the man make greatness. Let that man do it. I don't understand why we gotta fight for the right. Make content, dude. Make content. Akira Toriyama passed away. I understand that the family, it like exists and everything, but y'all getting in the way of greatness, dog. Y'all getting in the way. Y'all know how much this anime means to him, meant to him. It means to this man right here. Let them make greatness. Let them make greatness. Hold on, just right now. Look at this man. Look at this man. Let these creators be great. Honestly, this, in my honest opinion, this fight has been dragged. Well, for the rights, has been dragged on for far too long, because Dragon Ball fans are hungry for content right now. We are hungry. We are desperate. We're so hungry for it. Some of us are seething at the mouth. But not only Daima, but Sparkling Zero. We want this. Okay? Everything that y'all talking about, we want it. We just want it.
Ball and continue Akira Toriyama's legacy. Well, now talking about this affecting the anime, no guys, it doesn't affect the anime. This is because the animation rights are entirely owned by Toei Animation, which is worse for the manga than for the anime, which is why the manga is taking so long to return. Many people think that Dragon Ball Super will return with the Moro saga, but no folks, Dragon Ball Super will return with the Broly saga, and that's not bad, quite the opposite, and I'll explain why. It was said in the interview for the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie that about 80 minutes of the movie were cut. These 80 minutes are the story of the Saiyans, who will definitely be in the anime. This revelation also gives even more credibility to DBS Chronicles, who said that production for the new season of Dragon Ball Super began in 2020. Everything really is coming together. So yes, Dragon Ball Super will start with the Broly movie saga with much more stuff than the movie. And that's a good thing. Regarding the animation, we should have Shintani, but I'll leave that for later.
And honestly, that fixes the whole thing of what they're gonna do with Broly. People have been asking about, okay, well, y'all introduce Broly, what the fuck y'all gonna do with him? Right? this is a perfect thing. Make a saga about him. Do something with this character. Honestly, that is all that anybody is asking for. Do something with this. Do something with this character. Make him be a part of the Z Fighters. Have him be a part of the Dragon Ball universe. That's what a lot. I don't understand why anybody would be mad at that, because that's what everybody has been wanting for the past, I don't know, some odd years. Ever since they introduced the character Broly, period. The old character Broly. People wanted Broly to be a part of the series because he was that freaking dope.
Later. After the Broly saga, we should have some transition episodes as usual, and then we'll move on to the Moro saga. This is one of the most anticipated sagas in the anime, along with the Granola saga. It's incredible how the Granola saga managed to be even better than the Moro saga, and this is according to the fans. Toyotaro really did a good job with the supervision of Akira Toriyama sensei.
Oh no, for real, the Moro saga was great. I enjoyed the fuck out of the Moro saga. For those of you who didn't see it, tag it in the at the end of this video. Moro Saga was legendary. I loved it. I loved all of it. I loved it so much. I think I redid it. I'm pretty sure did I redo it?
From the Broly saga to the Moro saga, there should be no transition saga or even transition episodes. This is because in the manga, Goku, when leaving Planet Vampa, appears to talk to Vegeta, and thus begins the Moro saga. So it is very possible that the Moro saga to Granola should have some transition saga or episode, and it is very important to pay attention to this due to the number of episodes. Now moving on to the next saga, we have the Superhero saga, which should not have anything new, only Gohan with his beast form.
Wait, hold on, I only did part 1? Wait a minute, I'm confused now. Because what? Oh, I know why. Yeah, it's because Justice Din. Alright, we gotta do part 2. We gotta do part 2.
Form in 2D animation, which will still be very good. So considering all this, we have 4 anime sagas in the new season, which is already bigger than the previous season, which reached 131 episodes. Considering the transition sagas and transition episodes, it is clear that the new Dragon Ball Super season will be longer than the previous season. We must not forget that while Dragon Ball Super is running, the manga will continue. And with that, we will have 1 to 2 more sagas ready to animate again, thus giving even more time for the new season. Honestly, I think this is very good. We will have a lot of time with Dragon Ball Super running without being interrupted. Comment what you think about this, but let's now move on to something else important. Now talking about the animation, starting with the Broly saga. The main animators for this saga will be Shintani and Takahashi, considering what we saw in the movie. Of course, there are several other animators, but here I will only talk about the main ones. In fact, a very old news is that Takahashi would be the head of animation together with Yamamuro, which makes total sense now. But continuing with the Broly saga, it is clear that we will have Yamamuro too, since he is one of those animators who will always be there. He has been in Dragon Ball since Z, with him being one of the main animators as well. Now moving on to the Moro saga, here we have some intriguing things. This is because in my opinion, Shintani's drawing doesn't match the complete Ultra Instinct, considering that his drawing is a simple drawing. I don't even need to say that Takahashi will most likely be in charge of most of the fight scenes, since the Moro saga is well known for being the brings back Dragon Ball Z, and as we well know, Takahashi's drawing is reminiscent of that. Yamamuro will also be in charge, but this is where another animator who was in the Tournament of Power comes in, Naotoshi Shida. Yes, I'm talking about the animator who did those impressive scenes of Goku against Frieza after they finish off Sidra's henchmen. He will most certainly be in charge of the Ultra Instinct, just as it is almost confirmed that he will also be in the Granola saga because of that. But now there is an animator who has revealed that he would indeed work on more Dragon Ball stuff. I'm talking about Chikashi Kubota. It's not clear if Kubota will participate in the Moro or Granola saga. In my opinion, I believe so. But it's certain that he will be in the Superhero saga, mainly because his drawings have been highly praised. Kubota's drawings are really beautiful and refer to the root of Dragon Ball, bringing a nostalgia together with the so-called essence of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball has something that other animes can't reproduce, and that is really impressive. In an interview that Kubota gave to promote the movie Dragon Ball Super superhero, he said that he sent the idea of a remake for Dragon Ball Z. This is something that fans also want. Of course, would we have some things changed? Probably yes, but I believe that since Dragon Ball Daima has already shown that it is not as childish as it seems, the Dragon Ball Z remake could be something outside of what we are expecting from
Yeah, it could
Toei.
be.
Toei Animation
Of
is
course.
indeed a great animation studio, and I wouldn't trade it for MAPPA or A1 Pictures. Toei Animation knows how to make Dragon Ball, only they know how to do it when it comes to animation. It's no wonder that we've had several Toei films, such as the Bardock film from Dragon Ball Z and so on. That's why Akira Toriyama never watched these films, because he didn't have a big role. Now, talking about the date that Dragon Ball Super will return, we have to understand the current situation. This is because Dragon Ball Daima will be released in October, more specifically on the 6th. It is not yet clear whether the Dragon Ball Super manga will return before or after Daima, but we have some things to pay attention to. I am talking about the moment when Dragon Ball Daima is released. This seems to be the time for the announcement of the new season of Dragon Ball Super. At least that is the current theory. Well, according to DBS Chronicles, Dragon Ball Super will return in 2025. And this is where things start to get even cooler. This is because we have a period for this release based on the anime season and the period in which Dragon Ball always releases something new. I am talking about spring and winter of 2025, exactly. The fans' big bet for the return of Dragon Ball Super is in the first and winter of 2025, which makes perfect sense considering that DBS Chronicles talked about Dragon Ball Super. Now, talking about where Dragon Ball Super will be purchased, this is more than clear. I'm talking about Crunchyroll. Of course, TVs will buy the rights, but speaking at the platform level, it's clear that Crunchyroll will buy it since it already has the rights to Dragon Ball Super up to episode 131. I
Nice.
believe this is no surprise to almost anyone, considering that Crunchyroll is the best anime streaming service in the world. Speaking about the impact of the return of DBS, the return of Dragon Ball Super promises to be a milestone in the history of the franchise, raising the quality of animation to levels never seen before. Over the past few years, Toei Animation has been investing heavily in its expertise, using the recent films as a testing ground for animation techniques that will take the series to new heights. Ever since the release of Dragon Ball Super Broly, it was clear that Toei was committed to redefining the visual standard for the franchise. Not only did the film feature spectacular battle sequences, but it also brought a fluidity and dynamic movement that rivals the best anime productions today. With Dragon Ball Super returning to series format, the expectation is that this level of excellence will be maintained and even surpassed, establishing a new pinnacle in Dragon Ball animation. The Dragon Ball Super Broly film was the first major indication that Toei Animation was willing to innovate and experiment with the series animation. The decision to hire Naohiro Shintani as animation director was crucial to the film's visual success. Shintani brought a new approach to character design, opting for a softer, more expressive style that allowed for greater freedom in animating the action scenes. This choice proved to be a good one, with the fights in the film being praised for their intensity and the way they captured the essence of the characters' speed and power. This evolution in animation style was just the beginning of what Toei had in store. Toei didn't stop there. With the success of Dragon Ball Super Broly, the studio saw an opportunity to continue exploring new techniques and approaches in its next projects. The release of Dragon Ball Super Superhero was another step in this journey of innovation. While the film adopted a 3D animation style that initially generated some controversy among fans, it also demonstrated the studio's willingness to take risks and explore new visual frontiers. The use of 3D allowed for action scenes with a depth and complexity that would have been difficult to achieve with traditional animation. Once again, Toei was using film as a laboratory to test what would work best for the future of Dragon Ball Super. These experiments and innovations were not in vain. With Dragon Ball Super returning to television, Toei now has a vast arsenal of techniques and approaches that have been tested and refined in film.
That's good news. All of that is good news. All of that is good news. Because, like I said before, people have been very hungry for Dragon Ball concept. And to hear that we're more than likely gonna be getting it next year, next winter, that's fantastic news. I don't understand how anybody would not want more Dragon Ball content. Y'all can sit here and talk about how ass Dragon Ball Super was and things of that nature. I loved it. I loved it. Nothing is going to be as hype as DBZ because of the fact that we grew up with it. We literally grew up with it. They advertised the living fuck out of it. Every chance they got, every weekend on Friday, the moment we came home from school and we was watching Toonami. That impact on us will never go away. And I understand that as a grown adult. Age 33. My birthday just passed, okay? I know this. Because I felt it. I grew up with it. My roommate grew up with it. We understand this. Could Super have been better? Sure. But was it trash? No, it was not trash. Because there's still clips to this day, people getting hyped over the events, what happened in Super. So we're not even going to try that. This is a step in the right direction. After a good hiatus of not having any Dragon Ball content, hearing all this news is fantastic news for us.
The studio is expected to combine the best of both worlds, the fluidity and dynamism of traditional animation, as seen in Broly, and in the depth and visual complexity provided by 3D in Super Hero, to create an unprecedented viewing experience. The series has the opportunity to be an animated spectacle that not only lives up to fans' expectations, but also sets a new standard for what is possible in a long-running television series. Furthermore, the time Toei has invested in producing the new episodes of Dragon Ball Super is an indication that the studio is committed to delivering the best quality possible. The series will not simply be a direct continuation of what came before, but rather an evolution, both in terms of storytelling and visual presentation. Toei has learned from past mistakes, especially the criticism the original Dragon Ball Super series received for its early episodes, and is determined not to repeat those mistakes. The early episodes of Dragon Ball Super were often criticized for animation quality issues, but Toei has shown through its films and the build-up to the series' return that these issues have been addressed, and that the studio is now at a new level of capability.
Good.
Another crucial factor contributing to this expectation is the team of animators and directors who are involved in producing the new season, with talents like Naohiro Shintani, Chikashi Kubota, and even the likes of Takahashi and Yamamuro possibly involved. The quality of the animation is all but guaranteed. These animators have brought new perspectives and skills to the table, each contributing to elevating the series to a new level. The collaboration between these artists, combined with the experience Toei has accumulated over the years, means that the new season of Dragon Ball Super is set to be one of the high points of animation in the franchise. Toei is also aware of the expectations of fans. The Dragon Ball franchise has a global fan base that is extremely passionate and demanding. Each new release is scrutinized, and Toei knows it cannot disappoint. To this end, the studio has invested in cutting-edge technology, training its team of animators, and ensuring that the new episodes of Dragon Ball Super are not just a return to form, but a significant improvement over what came before. The combination of all these improvements and investments means that the next season of Dragon Ball Super will be a true pinnacle in Dragon Ball animation. Furthermore, Toei understands the cultural impact and importance of Dragon Ball as one of the most influential franchises in the world. They know that every episode, every frame, is an opportunity to build on the series' legacy and leave a lasting mark on the history of animation. With that mindset, Toei is approaching the production of Dragon Ball Super with a dedication and care that reflects the studio's respect for the source material and the fans who love it.
Good.
The series is not just a product, it is an integral part of global pop culture, and Toei is determined to do that legacy justice. As we get closer to the release of the new season of Dragon Ball Super, the anticipation and excitement are only growing. Toei has been keeping specific details under wraps, but what has already been revealed, along with the studio's recent track record, suggests that we are about to witness something truly special. The combination of the experience gained from the films, the top-notch animation team, and the time invested in production all point to a season that will not only meet expectations but exceed them. Dragon Ball animation is about to reach a new peak, and fans around the world are eager to see what Toei has in store. In short, the return of Dragon Ball Super will be a landmark event, not only because of the continuation of the story, but because of the monumental leap in animation quality. Toei Animation, through years of experimentation and refinement, is ready to deliver a visual experience that will be remembered as the pinnacle of Dragon Ball animation. Every battle, every transformation, every emotional moment will be portrayed with a clarity and intensity that will solidify Dragon Ball Super's return as one of the franchise's greatest hits. The wait may have been long, but it looks like it will be worth it, with Dragon Ball Super reaching new heights and redefining what we can expect from an animated series. One really cool thing about Dragon Ball is that even without an anime and manga, Dragon Ball has managed to be the most profitable franchise for Toei Animation.
Of course,
even with One Piece having movies and its episodes. When Dragon Ball Super returns, it will be something huge to see, especially because of the quality as was mentioned in this video. I am honestly very excited for the announcement of the new season, and I believe it will be after Dragon Ball Daima. It would be really impressive if the announcement for the return of Dragon Ball Super happened in the last episode of Dragon Ball Daima. I really believe that this can happen.
I believe it too. I believe it too, and thank you, Planet Saiyan, for this. I believe it too. I honestly believe it too. Whether or not you're a fan of Dragon Ball or not, you cannot deny that Dragon Ball at this point is a global phenomenon. I'm still not letting this go. Saudi Arabia is making a whole amusement park. A decked out, fully detailed amusement park. Saudi Arabia. There is so much love for this anime, for this franchise, and yet you got people talking about why people like it so much. Because it's everywhere, and it was everywhere when we were growing up. It's something that a lot of people could turn to. It's something that a lot of people could just learn from. If I could the quotes by some of these events in Dragon Ball period, y'all will look at me and go like, that came from this anime? Yes, it did. There are quotes from GT. There are quotes from the Buu Saga. There are quotes from the Android Saga. There are so many memorable quotes, even from the movies, the old movies, which we honestly need to talk about at some point, because I would love to talk about the old Dragon Ball movies with y'all. I would love to, or possibly find a way to do a reaction to them. I'm gonna find a way to do something like that. I'm gonna find a way. But that being said, y'all let me know in the comments down below what y'all felt, how y'all feel about this news. I am excited about this news. Urban Ninja is excited about this news because we love Dragon Ball, period. We're going in the right direction, no matter what anyone says. Y'all can sit here and hate and say that y'all did not like Super. Okay, fine, you didn't like Super, whatever. They listen. And if you still, for some reason, decide to hate Daima or anything else that they make, well, guess what? Dragon Ball is just not for you. I'm sorry. It's just not for you. And that's fine. But don't go and bash somebody else for liking it. And go to conventions and somebody asks you, what's the one hot take, and you say Dragon Ball is ass, and you don't know anything about Dragon Ball, but because you see toxic fans act out or anything, that makes you just stand clear of anything Dragon Ball. And honestly, that's such an immature thing to do. Because that means you don't even have your own mindset. But we're not even going to get into that today. Y'all have a good day. Let me know in the comments down below what y'all thought about this. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Let people know what's going to be coming on in the future. This has been Master of Sakurai. Happy Dragon Ball Sunday to all of you guys. I'm out. Peace. 勝ちだぜぐんぐんぐんぐんぐんを抜きじゃんじゃんびゃんびゃん